Hello there. Welcome to a new episode of the Fortress of Filitude. Now, it's been a while since I've posted a video. A combination of, a crazy time at work, birthday, holidays, and just summertime wanting to relax and experiencing some minor vacations. I just haven't been posting. And, it's a little bit of a pain to edit video. And sometimes the crafting, it goes kind of slow when you have to worry about cameras and filming and angles and then trying to piece it all together afterwards when you edit it. So rather than look at it as a hassle and force myself to do something that I wouldn't have as much fun with, I've just taken a little bit of a break. But I'm back now. I may not post as often. I may still do this somewhat sporadically. And I may change the format of my videos a little bit and do more reviews and unboxings. And I'm going to show off crafts, but maybe not do such in-depth, step-by-step building of those crafts. Because, there are crafters out there who can do it a lot better than I can and who can show you the kind of techniques that I use. So while I sort of generally describe how I make things, you'll see the finished result, and you can check out much better crafters to see the techniques necessary to do some of those things. But we'll see how that goes in the future. This video is going to be an unboxing and kind of a review of something I just got delivered about a week ago, the Bones 5 Kickstarter from Reaper. Now, I've been waiting on this just like so many thousands of other people around the world for about, what's it been, a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years. It was supposed to originally ship in April. Of course, COVID, like everything else in the world, had its effect. But really, I don't think it's been that bad of a delay, all things considered. The longest delay was just a container held up in customs. But can't really complain. As far as Kickstarters go, Reaper always delivers, and their stuff is always top-notch. Love it. So, let's look at what I got. And let me say, I did not buy one of everything like some people do, much less multiples of many things. I probably spent less on this particular Bones Kickstarter than I have on some of the previous ones. And the reason why is because I have got so many miniatures already, so many that I know I'll never paint. And, 35 years of gaming, I have enough orcs and goblins and kobolds and skeletons and lizard folk. I just don't need very many more, if any more at all. So I was a little bit better this time, and I sort of controlled myself. I didn't even get the core set because a lot of those models I already have in metal, or they didn't excite me as much. And the good thing about the Bones Kickstarters is this is how they finance the molds to make these miniatures and make them available for a mass market. Probably a year from now, year and a half, you'll start seeing these hit retail stores. So any of the models that I kind of liked, that I was on the fence about, I know I can buy someday in the future, just those individual models. And I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. I need to be a little bit more judicious in how I spend my money. Trying to be a little bit better with my hobbies because I have historically spent way more than I should. I'm sure a lot of you have the same problem. Not that we should really call it a problem, but anyways, I'm trying to do better, trying to save more money, trying to focus more on paying off some debt a little sooner than I would otherwise, and trying to be a little more practical with my hobbies and not just buy everything and not just buy stuff because I'm afraid of missing out. But, actually just focus on the things that I feel like I'm going to use in a game someday and not just everything that's on the table because it's a good price. So, without further ado, let's change the camera angle and we'll dig into this box and start looking at some of what I got. Alrighty, let's get started. First here we have Dragon Folk. Now, 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, it's a popular character choice. Of course, you have similar typed creatures in other games. While there are plenty of dragon-like, reptilian-like characters, this is a nice little set that is specifically meant to be dragonborn. Pretty cool. The way they're sculpted, you can kind of tell each one sort of has a role already in mind. You know, barbarian, wizard, bard, probably cleric, ranger, maybe a archer, fighter, rogue, and this one I would say is probably a fighter or rogue as well, though it looks like he's carrying a box, so maybe a rogue there. Pretty cool. That's a nice little option I think a lot of people will like, and one that I was definitely interested in. Dragon Folk. As you can see, I've already opened the bag. Of course, when I first got the box, I had to open it up and look at all my goodies and kind of do an inventory, but Reaper has always been good. This is an extra pack, Wall of Thorns. This was part of their spell effects, which I did not buy the base set because I do already have a lot of miniatures for spell effects, but I thought the Wall of Thorns was pretty cool and something that I could use aside from just being a magical spell. But yeah, these are pretty cool. I can use these as just outdoor terrain if I want to, not just a spell effect. Those are pretty cool. I think they also had like a wall of stone. They had various spells to represent giant magical hands, including one giving a vulgar gesture if you are interested in that sort of thing. This one of many dragons. This is the Shadow Dragon, and I don't know why I had forgotten or maybe didn't realize that it's going to be cast in this translucent plastic. So it already has a nice sort of shadowy effect. It's got this nice rock base. I've seen a lot of people start to paint these already and put actual colors on them to kind of fade in with that translucent effect. I don't know that I'd do a whole lot to it though. I really like the way it's already kind of got that shadowy dark look. I mean, that's what a shadow dragon is supposed to look like, right? And you kind of get an idea looking at these Dragonborn miniatures how big this dragon is. I mean, this dude's massive. I'm probably not putting this in the right spot, but just to give you an idea of this, you know, scale of this thing once you get it put together. Yeah, totally not putting these in right. Anyways, you get the idea, right? I mean, the sucker's going to be big. Tail, awesome. Now, you know, if I was a real YouTuber, I would have glued all these together and had half of them painted already, right? Exactly. That wasn't going to happen. And no, that wasn't a buzzing sound to just sound an alarm at my statement. This is one of the bigger dragons. This one's also really massive. What is this? Shavinir? Something the Slayer. That's something different they've done with this Kickstarter too. I've noticed they've labeled a lot of the bags. I don't think they've done that in the previous ones. Once again, you got a base. Oh, good night. Look at the wings on this sucker. So they have quite a few dragons in this set that are of similar size, similar scale. I mean, once again, medium-sized dragonborn, real dragon. Oof. This thing is just going to be kind of cool thing you can throw down on the table and just scare the bejesus out of your players, you know. And there's the alarm again. Yes, that is the dryer. I'm doing laundry at the same time. It's called multitasking. This was a cool little miniature, the Loot Golem. Now this one I did not realize was going to be cast in translucent plastic. But if you, I don't know if you can see the detail here in this lighting, but it's supposed to be made up of coins and gemstones. So it's kind of odd to me. I mean, most of this is going to be painted. I guess you can leave a few spots open here and there for some of the gemstones to give them a translucent look. But, I mean, just, that's a cool, cool miniature. golem made up of treasure. That's a good way to surprise your players too. And they've defeated a boss and they get into a treasure chamber and they think they're just going to reap all the rewards, and then the treasure comes to life and tries to kill them. So that's always fun. Another big dragon. How many dragons did I get? I don't really know offhand. I don't remember. But there were a lot. Now, this is a cool base. Park terrain. It's one thing I wish Reaper would do a little bit more of. Well, they do more than most people realize. But it'd be really neat to see some terrain in the future. Now, I do have another pack in here I'm going to show here in a second that's got some terrain pieces that are part of the set. But just kind of trying to put some of this sort of together just to kind of give you an idea of how big these suckers are. I mean, just massive. I know some people would say, are you ever really going to need that many dragons? But it's one thing you can never have enough of, because after you've painted up miniatures for all your main dragon types in D&D and Pathfinder with the, your basic chromatic colors and your metallics, well, there are other color combinations you can do too. Why not? Another translucent one. This is a gem dragon. I guess you could sort of make this an invisible dragon. They did one like that in the previous Kickstarter. They had a dragon that was just cast in this clear, translucent material to kind of serve as either, I guess, a spirit or an invisible dragon. This one actually has little crystals and gemstones and these crystalline protrusions on it. Not as big as the other dragon, but still pretty cool. I think you'd want to keep the translucent effect for the most part on this one, and just use some inks to shade it, whatever color you want to use. I don't know, I might go with maybe a violet color, maybe a light blue, and then all these other little crystals and gemstones on it. You can do different colors on those. That is a neat little miniature. What have we here? Oh, yeah, a figurehead for the pirate ship. This is a Grim Reaper. Yes, I got the pirate ship. I did not get the ghost pirate ship. I didn't really see where I would have much of a need for one of those in the future. I know, never say never, right? Now, this dude's pretty cool. So this just goes on the front of the pirate ship. You can swap it out with a couple of different mastheads. We'll see the pirate ship here at the end of the video. This was an add-on. I think they introduced these when they opened up the Pledge Manager. This was after the Kickstarter was already over. It's one of those little things they just added after the fact. I'm sure a lot of that was stuff they wanted to show during the normal campaign, but they didn't reach the levels I guess maybe they had hoped they would, but they still end up offering them anyways. This is another masthead. It's a hippogriff. I guess you could really paint that up and just use it as a hippogriff if you wanted to, but it is meant to go on the pirate ship. I know a lot of folks have been modifying these mastheads and putting magnets in them so that they more easily and more securely attach to the ship if you're going to swap them out. Oh yeah, those are awesome. This one I'm not going to open up because it's not going to look like much of anything that you can identify. This is Yog Sothoth, an H.P. Lovecraft outer god. It's, like you would expect, a big mass of tentacles and eyes, and even when it's put together, it's going to be difficult to look at and kind of know what you're looking at. So I'm not going to bother opening that one and trying to go through all those pieces. Let's see, what have we here? This was a pack of dragons. So this is a dragon wolf. This was one miniature in this little set that I was not that interested in, but because it was a part of a set with all the others, I decided, what the heck? But yeah, so it's a draconic wolf. I don't know what use I will have for that, but hey, in a game like Dungeons & Dragons or Pathfinder, never say never. I'm not sure what the name of this individual one is, but it is also a dragon. More of a large size, not as big as frightening as some of those others. This is more of a medium-sized dragon. It's a smaller one. I keep thinking I might actually already have a miniature of this exact same dragon, maybe from the previous Kickstarter, but I could also be wrong and just thinking of something I dreamt instead. Another sort of large-sized dragon, not quite scale like some of these big suckers I've already looked at earlier, but definitely useful. More of a dragon the players might fight without having too much fear. Here's the one with terrain I was talking about. So this is, what do they call this? Ravenholm? Shadows of Ravenholm. Obviously a nod to Ravenloft. But yeah, they've got these little pieces here, this terrain. Little ruined staircase. Now this one's a little warped. It's not a big deal. I know some people got different pieces in their sets that seemed like they were a little warped. All you got to do is drop this sucker in some boiling water and then straighten it out and then put it in some cold water, preferably some ice water, and it will hold its shape. This one has all these vampires. Actually, they're all female too. That's pretty cool. But, female vampires, some of them winged. I guess it's more like from Van Helsing, a movie that we really won't talk about otherwise. I think this is the main vampire. She's kind of got a headdress that kind of reminds me of the way Dracula looked in Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula. Then, of course, there's a female vampire hunter. Another winged vampire. It's kind of hard to tell what she looks like without taking her off the sprue and putting her together. This is one of those kits where, yeah, I've got a bunch of extra vampires now, but then I've also got these really cool terrain pieces that I can use in a lot of different scenarios. I know a lot of folks will just make dioramas out of that kind of stuff, which is perfectly acceptable. A lot of people buy these miniatures to paint and display. I use them for gaming, so my thought is eventually all of these miniatures will see the game table at some point in what's left of my life. Another one of the big dragons. Oh man, this dude is huge too. I'm not sure how the head goes together. I guess something kind of like that. I'll have to play with that a little bit, but good night. You kind of get the idea. I guess his mouth is supposed to be open. There we go. I don't know if you can really see that, but massive, massive. Where'd my dragon folk go? Get an idea how big this guy is compared to a medium-sized figure. Yeah, really good for boss battle type dragons. Hey, it'd be awesome if somebody do a reboot of the Dragonlance campaign setting with all these dragons out right now, but don't know if that's going to happen. Here's one. Kind of quirky, but cool. It is the Overgourd. Yeah, that's a jack-o'-lantern-like face, and then it's got all these extra little pumpkins that sprout off of it. Yes, it's meant to be a pumpkin version of a beholder. Quirky, fun, still something I think you could use in your games, especially if you wanted to run some kind of a scenario that was a nightmare or an illusion. Something in the fairy realm, which I think they've got some adventures coming out here real soon. Maybe this is sort of a fae version of a beholder, something that lives in the crazy, enchanted other world. Those of you watching this video who don't know anything about Dungeons & Dragons and have no idea what I'm talking about, of course, this means nothing to you. But if that's the case, I appreciate you watching, but you probably don't have the first idea of what I'm talking about. A demonic temptation. This was an interesting set. This is a collection of succubi and incubi. Succubus is a classic D&D monster, and also a... gosh, should I censor that? Yeah, I think she's topless. Oh well, it's just a plastic figure. There's nothing wrong with the human form, or the demonic human form. But they did men and women in this one, so you have your succubus and you have an incubus. You have multiples of each. It's pretty cool. I thought those would be nice additions to my various demonic miniatures. I kind of do male and female in each pose, including these ones that are reclining very suggestively. A lot of people are going to use these to make dioramas for sure, but those will be fun in the game. Now this one, yeah, almost, I forgot I had bought this one, Arakoth the Ancient. It's a giant spider. One of the few things in this world that I do not like that actually frighten me are spiders. So I'm really not sure why I bought this one. I kind of had forgotten that I had. So when I was going through here and popped this one out, even though it's in pieces, it still kind of creeps me out a little bit. This is going to be a big ass spider. I mean, that's the abdomen. Where's the head on this thing too? I don't know. It's creepy little eyes. They're in here somewhere. Ugh. No, it's on the very front of it. Yeah, there's. Ugh. Yeah. Ugh. I'll have a hard time putting that one together and painting it. I know it's plastic and it's not real, but it's icky. Oh, the dragon lion. There's a monster in classic D&D called a dragon, which is basically kind of a cross between a lion and a dragon. This one looks more like a saber-toothed tiger, but same difference. The dragon lion. This is more like a cave lion, maybe. Kind of a classic D&D monster that I don't know I've really ever seen too many miniatures of, so that's kind of cool to have. Oh, we're getting close to the end. Hope you're not getting bored. I hope you're still with me. I hope you're still interested. Oh my goodness, this is a very large dragon. This is one of the beefier ones. That one's kind of got a little chunk on it, doesn't it? Nice big head. Almost reminds me a little bit of Godzilla. It's on a sprue there, but kind of get an idea. It sits up on this rock. Once again, medium-sized figure for scale there. Yeah, you might as well just lay down there because, yeah. Yeesh, man. Look at that tail. Look at the tail on that one. Okay, yeah, probably shouldn't have said that. I'm just joking. Hey. I like big tails and I cannot lie. Storm Giant. So unfortunately they had a Cloud Giant that was part of the Greek Odyssey expansion. It was a $50 add-on. And there were a few models in that one I liked, but not enough to make me purchase the whole add-on. I'll just get the Cloud Giant by herself later. A bigger scale than the ones they released in the previous Kickstarter, probably more true to game scale. Not that that really means a whole lot nowadays, but this is just one impressive dude. I mean, look at him. I guess alternatively, you could take something like this and instead of actually making it a creature for the players to fight, I mean, something like this would be a cool statue in a temple. Got his big lightning bolt he can hold. I don't think that's all on his arm. But yeah, I mean, a lot of different uses for something like that. Even if you didn't want to paint it all up to look like a storm giant. Yeah, a statue would be kind of easy. It'd be kind of a neat piece of terrain to put in a bigger display. But we all know I'm going to paint that up as a storm giant. as it was intended. This one I'm not going to open up because it's got a lot of little pieces. This is a trebuchet. They also had other siege engines. They had ballista and they had catapults. And you say, well, why didn't you get those, Phil? Why would you get this one and not the others? Because I already have siege engines in miniature form already. Uh-oh, is this... Oh, one more after this one. Okay. This is what they call a Goroloth, which is Reaper's version of an Aboleth. And they had one in a previous Kickstarter. I don't remember if that was 4 or 5. They sort of do their own version there. Rather than calling it an Aboleth, even though that's open content, they call it a Goroloth, I guess to avoid any potential of being sued someday if someone at Hasbro suddenly gets a wild hair. Cool, cool, cool. You know, they had some nautical-themed sets that I did not purchase either because I just didn't have anything planned in the near future where the players would be fighting a lot of aquatic creatures, which I know is ironic since I got the big pirate ship, but how can you pass on a pirate ship? Initially I did and thought, man, that's expensive and it's a big ship and I just don't see myself using it at the table. And then as time went on, I thought, man, if I ever change my mind and want the pirate ship, if I don't get it now, it's going to be at least twice that price when it hits retail. So, I mean, you know, hey, I'd be a fool not to get it now, right? And this is the last before we get to the pirate ship. Kalinzar. That one's easy to pronounce. This is another big dragon. Oh, he's got a lot of parts. Main body. There's the tail. He's going to be a pretty good size, too. The head is on a sprue. That's the top part of the head. Neat, neat, neat. And a base. These bases are pretty good. I'm surprised. Most of these, I think almost all of these dragons, they have these round bases, and they all seem to be flat. They're not warped at all. Now, some people had problems with warpage. I don't know if it's just the batches they were made in or temperatures they were exposed to during transportation, but I've had really good luck. I haven't really seen any problems with mine. Now, I know there's one dragon in particular. I probably should have done the research before the video. There's one dragon that I think everyone is having trouble attaching one of the legs. There's a really bad gap. But the easiest solution, once again, is with this kind of plastic, dunk it in some boiling water, using some tongs for a couple of minutes, let it soften up, and then put it in place and kind of bend it to where you need it to be, and then dunk it into some ice water, and it will hold the shape it's supposed to have, and it will fit without any gaps. I think the gap was bad enough that you couldn't really fill it with milliput or green stuff or any of the normal putties that people use sometimes on their miniatures. So that's one, I guess, I don't know, maybe they should have looked at a little closer on the drawing board, but honestly, it's easy to fix. And with the sheer massive scale of the miniatures they have produced for this Kickstarter, like the previous Kickstarters, I can cut them some slack. They've done a fantastic job with what they have provided. So that's actually all I got from the add-ons. Like I said, I didn't get the Greek Odyssey, I didn't get the Asian expansion, I didn't get the Brine Wind, I didn't get the fan favorites, but I did get the pirate ship. So let's go check out the pirate ship. Sucker is huge, over 3 feet long. I only have one criticism with this kit, and it's minor. Some other folks have noticed a certain issue with the pirate ship. It's not what you think. It's not about warpage. It's not about missing pieces. It's not about anything not fitting properly. Whew. Yeah, this dude is big, and there's a lot of extra pieces. These are the masts, and I've noticed cool thing about the masts is the bottoms are magnetized, so the spots on the ship where they are supposed to go, they will automatically pop on there and stay in place. And then when you need to remove them, you can without having something permanently attached. These are the upper parts of the masts. A lot of little pieces that go with this thing. The wheel, there's little parts that go on there. I'm not going to bother trying to name what some of those pieces of the ship are. These are just lanterns that go on the back somewhere. Oh, look at cannons. So, one of the things they've added to the Pledge Manager now after the fact, because they did open it back up for people who wanted to purchase, who felt like they missed out the first time around and were getting caught up in the excitement of the release. You can buy extra 10 packs of these cannons. But my God, it already comes with so many. I don't know why you would need more, unless, you know, you're going to outfit more ships of your own construction. These are the little windows, little hatches that go over the gun ports on the side. Here is the figurehead that it comes with. I guess this is the namesake of the ship, Sophie. The ship is called Sophie's Revenge. Some more parts that go on there. So, speaking of all these little parts, that's the only criticism I have, and it's minor, there's the anchor, is that they did not include any instructions on how to put all this together. Now, I think a lot of the pieces, as you take them apart and look at them, it's going to be pretty obvious where they go, and of course you've got reference photos on the box. But it does kind of bug me that they didn't at least include some kind of basic instruction booklet on how to put this thing together, because I've seen a lot of people have problems with the masts. They've put some things together in the wrong order, and by putting them together, I mean they have glued them together, and then find out after the fact that they're wrong, and they have to tear it apart. It's been kind of a pain for some people. Easy to work around, but it's one of those things, it's like, you guys could have put some basic instructions in there. You can see this aft castle. The aft portion of the ship comes off, and you've got playable deck underneath. Each deck actually does remove. This one, these sections don't have magnets, but I think they kind of fit in place well enough that you don't have to worry about them coming apart or not fitting the way they're supposed to. I say that, and then I can't get this back in here at the moment. Haha. But yeah, let's take this big daddy out of here. Off. Now you can see this sucker is huge. Oh my goodness. Not the best camera angles, I know. Not the best at all, but forgive the camera shake there. I'm just trying to position the camera well enough to get most of this in frame. So yeah, you know the back section comes off. Well, then this middle section comes off entirely. You have this lower deck on the inside. I think it's kind of odd that they have, I guess you're supposed to imply that there's even another deck below. It goes all the way through. I would think this should just be surfaced like that. But yeah, I guess there would be another level even below that. Yeah, this thing is just massive and awesome. And I've seen people buying like 2 and 3 of these at a time. I'll put that on there more securely later. And I kind of wonder why you would ever need more than one of these. You say, oh, well, you know, if you run a campaign and this is the player's boat, then there's got to be enemies that have a boat, but they're not going to be the same kind of boat. They could be, but you'd want some variation. Just going to be, man, it's going to take up a lot of space on the table, right? Pretty cool. Now, WizKids makes a pirate ship. Gosh, there's all kinds you can find on Etsy that people have 3D printed. You can 3D print your own. You could make up a good little fleet of 4 or 5 ships of different types, and this, of course, could be the centerpiece. This could be the main ship. This could be the villain's boat that you've got to defeat, or this could be the player's boat, which is their base of operations. Pretty awesome. Still can't imagine having 2 or 3 of these unless I was going to paint one and sell it, or do some kind of heavy customization to one of them. but one is certainly enough for me. Pretty awesome. Well, that's it, guys. That's all I have for this unboxing. Yes, I know if I was a real YouTuber, I would have already assembled and at least glued together a lot of the dragons or painted a few of them, but I'm not, and this is all you're going to get. But hopefully you found it entertaining and informative. Hopefully it excites you that you're going to maybe go in and try to get some of these new models that people are offering on eBay, or maybe if the pledge manager is still open, you can hop in there and order some of these. They're going to ship the next batch at the end of this year, beginning of next year, which is only about 6 months away now. Otherwise, you can look for these babies in retail here in about 6 months to a year, maybe a year and a half. And yeah, Reaper Bones 5. Be sure to leave a comment. Be sure to like the video. Dislike it if you don't like this video and you don't like me and you'd wish I'd stop. I don't care. It's feedback of some kind. So leave a comment. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And we will see you next time in the Fortress of Philitude.